Welcome to the economy of the collapse. Today we're gonna talk about ism. Have you ever heard of any type of ism? So the title today is Why All Ism Fail When Models Collide with Reality. What if the problem isn't capitalism or socialism or globalism or feminism or whatever ism? What if the real problem is way deeper? What if all ism fail for the same reason? Stay with us. We're gonna embark into an ism tour. So an ism is a model. Okay, it's not a theory, and the problem is it's an oversimplified model that people tend to use as a theory. It's a overly simplified system meant to try to explain reality, and that's where ideologies come in, because for any scientific person, they would say, that cannot explain, so don't say that. But here, the proponents are using that to try to explain. And it's true with capitalism, it's true with socialism, it's true with globalism, with liberalism, with multiculturalism, with feminism. It's all the same. Each one try to answer the same question. How should society be organized and behave and incentivize? But they all share one flaw. They simplify reality to make it manageable. Most modern ideologies, especially economic ones, are built on a very specific assumption. Humans are rational, predictable agents. This idea comes from classical and neoclassical economic. Let's take 1 minute to understand this. Classical economic, think about Adam Smith, Ricardo, assume that market tend toward equilibrium. Individual pursue self-interest. That's where most people say, yeah, me too, I pursue my self-interest. Must be true, right? Aggregate outcome become efficient. And neoclassical economic refine this with more mathematics, utility maximization, rational expectation, equilibrium models that you can draw on a chalkboard. Of course, if there is math involved, it must be true also. In these models, humans are consistent, preferences are stable, and decisions are logical. That's why it's so powerful. These models still heavily influence central bank, fiscal policy, global trade system, and most public policy framework and logic model, even today, even as we speak. Over the past decades, we've learned something critical. Humans are not purely rational. Behavioral economic, through researchers like Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler, has shown people are biased, decisions are emotional, preferences are inconsistent, markets are not perfectly efficient, systems are not stable. The foundational assumption of it all is flawed, and that's the central one. And here's the key problem. Many policies are still built on these simplified models. So we end up designing systems for humans that don't even exist. Think about that. Take globalism. It started as economic, comparative advantage, trade efficiency. I mean, who would not want that? But it evolved in something even much larger, a model of how society should function. Think about Mark Carney's New World Order now that he tried to place in every occasion, every discourse, which assumes that mobility is frictionless and always beneficial. Integration creates harmony in a magnificent rainbow, and identity is secondary. We don't need that. I mean, it's just it's a problem. Let's get rid of it. Actually, it's a friction in the system. But reality showed that uneven economic gains are prevalent, social fragmentation is everywhere, and it translates into social unrest and political backlash. Now step back. You see the same pattern everywhere. In capitalism, it's pure form. Assume markets are self-correcting, then it ignores inequality and instability, and of course it's not self-correcting, and this has led to many financial crises, a lot of harm. You can think about environmental externality and so on. Socialism and communism assume central planning works, ignore incentives and complexity. A lot of countries have experienced that. It failed miserably. So globalism assumes integration creates cohesion, but it doesn't. Ignore identity and legitimacy, as it is seen as a friction that we need to actively get rid of. Multiculturalism assumes diversity produces unity. It enriches us. Ignores the need for shared norm for a society to actually function. Feminism, let's take another example. Of course, there's many strands, and some have clearly led to real progress for individual. But such as communism, socialism, and other ism too, some individuals have seen progress under these regimes. It has led to partial legal equality, of course more access to education and workforce participation, which should have then solved everything and brought women to the highest level in happiness we've ever seen. But it's not what happened, it's the contrary. And like with all the ism, problem emerge when the model becomes too rigid. It's the same for that. Some modern framework assume, for example, that men and women are interchangeable across all roles. I mean, it's visibly not the case. Reality is way more complex. And even though some woke debate are trying to say that, there's no difference, biological differences still exist. Preferences differ on average for many, many things. Life trajectories also diverge. The family is seen as unpaid slavery, where women would be trapped into this family structure and in need of escape. But the major consequence across developed economies of this way of thinking is that women are entering the workforce, and that has increased family wealth, nor individual purchasing power, nor happiness, all the while parking toddler in daycare all day and creating attachment issue to be dealt for later on. But the biggest thing that the theory hasn't encompassed is that fertility is collapsing. In most OECD countries, fertility rates are now well below the replacement level of 2.1. It's between 1.2 and 1.6. For Canada, we're averaging between 1.3 and 1.6, South Korea 0.7, Italy 1.2, and that this goes on. So these are historic lows, but they're not just historic lows, they're extinction level lows. I mean, feminism in all society that has achieved it institutionally are mathematically going to disappear, and the following generation are being replaced through mass migration. But one structural tension is clear. Highly individualistic systems struggle to sustain long-term reproduction. Stated simply, for one or a few generations of increased pleasure, the society will collapse and disappear ineluctably. And it's the same with communism. It has sustained a few generations. Some were benefiting, mostly the elite, and then it has disappeared. Think about Cuba, for example. But it's even deeper, as this has also led to high divorce rate, all-time high monoparental unit, led mostly by women, that the issue ending in a surrepresentation of those units in the prison system, attachment issue also for young girl, young male, all of the which further increase the decline in reproduction. That's the part where most people don't get or don't take into account, is that there's an exponential effect to that. Now we can see the pattern clearly. Every ism build a model of reality that doesn't exist. It simplifies human behavior, then applies it at scale, and eventually reality pushes back. Sometimes it's too late, a lot of harm has been caused. Because real system that could work depends on trust, culture, identity, meaning. It's not just incentives. We're human. The real issue is not any specific ideology. In theory, they could be helpful in a scientific quest to try to understand things. But the problem is that then some non-scientific individual take that as a belief system, as a framework that could explain everything. That one model could then optimize society, predict behavior, and replace complexity. But reality is not linear. It is complex, adaptive, and contradictory, and no model can fully capture it. Because we're human. So maybe the question is not which system is right, but how do we build systems that remain grounded in reality so that we can actually not disappear. Nobody wants an extinction level event because history shows one thing very clearly. Every ism eventually fails, and when it stops adapting to the real world, that's where we see it.